So now this is our the 3D printing, actual 3D printing portion, which is mainly going to be about obviously the 3D printing process itself. During this process, we are melting something called filament. It looks a bit like this. It's a piece. It's a piece of plastic basically that's been molded into this long tube or long, whatever you want to call it. It's just long length of plastic that's been extruded and which is fed into your extruder. So this filament is then going to be melted into a something along the lines of a liquid. It could be perfectly, really liquidy, which is not what you want, because in a 3D print you want to make it not perfectly liquid but semi-liquid, because otherwise it won't firm. Otherwise it'll just melt into this mess. So it is semi-liquid. In injection molding, they melt it until it's perfectly liquid, because they then fire it at high pressure into a mold. So during this process, you will see in the time lapse that the printer head is moving around. When it's moving, there is filament going in, but there are two different types. Like, it's doing two different types of movement. It's traveling versus whenever it's actually depositing filament. So during the travel, it does what you think it does. It moves that extruder around to wherever it needs to start. So once it starts, the filament starts getting deposited onto the model, and the 3D printer just traces the parts that it needs to. So it could be the infill. I set it to grid, so for the infill, I'm just going to do this on stuff like, and then run sideways. So let's get on to the time lapse. So here you can see the extruder moving. However, this is just tracing an outline. And while this is happening, you will notice that the build plate is lowering, which is so it can deposit another layer of filament. So now that we got our 3D print done, you can see it's here on our build plate. I just gotta peel it all off. First, just gonna remove this string here and just push this slow down. So this is what primes the extruder before it goes. So before it starts printing. So I'm just gonna peel that off if it wants to. There. Now I'm gonna remove part of this skirt and get under the model. As you can see, I apply a little bit of glue stick to the model so it doesn't stick, and now I've removed that skirt that I mentioned yesterday. It's very, very thin. Let me see if I can focus on that. So this very thin piece is used to prime that nozzle. Now this is our actual 3D printed part. I'm manual focusing this, so it might. Here's our 3D printed part. I'll show you guys this under the light so you can see what it looks like. So here is my benchy. As you saw, I just took it off the build plate. Now, this benchy, you'll see it has some artifacts on it. You can see like that crisscross pattern over here. There's some stuff right over here. However, there is a little bit of string right here. And this is entirely could be adjustable by settings. It may just be that I'm running fast. It may also not be that I have enough retraction. Because you can see there these strings. I think it might be just the filament though.